If I look at the Oak National Academy that we set up in record time, that's delivering lessons for every single year group across every single subject range, not just in GCSE level, in secondary schools, but at primary schools and early years as well. And just over the last few weeks, over 12 million lessons have been downloaded. And I was hoping that you were going to even welcome the fact that we've made over £100 million investment in terms of laptops, which we're rolling out to some of those children who are from the most disadvantaged and vulnerable backgrounds, and making sure that they have internet access. But we see the ability to support their learning is not just over the last few weeks and over the next few weeks, but a long-term project. And that's why we've launched the COVID catch-up plan to help children, not just over the next few weeks, not just over the summer, but over the next year, supporting them to learn. And the other initiative that we took up, and I'm sorry that Sky didn't have the opportunity to report on it, but we made available to every single school in England Microsoft Teams and Google Classroom, just like you highlighted that many private schools have had, so that every school is able to match what the very best private schools are able to do. Because I don't want any child who is in the state sector suffering or falling behind anyone else. And that is why we're spending £1 billion supporting children to catch up, supporting them to learn. Sam, would you...
But what proportion of state schools are actually doing interactive video learning on things like Microsoft Teams? My understanding is that it's incredibly low. And isn't that a problem?
Well, we've seen every school around the country delivering amazing support for children. Sometimes that has been through Microsoft Teams and through Google. In other ways, it's making sure that resources go to the children at their home. It's through teachers contacting those children. But this is a bigger effort that we're making. It's £1 billion effort that we're investing in schools. And we're looking at some of those children from the most disadvantaged backgrounds, because actually a lot of the evidence points to the fact that those are the children we need to be most worried about, that they may have fallen the furthest behind. And that's why we're introducing this tutoring programme. And all the evidence points to the fact that this tutoring programme can deliver the biggest benefit for those children, have the biggest impact on their life chances. And it's certainly something that I hope that we've seen right across the sector. So many people welcome it because they realise and they understand this is going to make a massive difference to children's lives. And I hope it will do to your children as well, Sam. If we can move on to Lucy Fisher from The Times. Lucy.
Mr. Williamson, do you think children should be taught more about Britain's colonial past and involvement in slavery? And will you change the curriculum to ensure this?
Well, Lucy, as I'm sure you're aware, our national curriculum covers the issue of the British Empire and the incredibly rich history that this nation has. And it's absolutely vitally important, incredibly important, that when children are learning about our nation's history, they learn all aspects of it, both the good and the bad. But we mustn't forget that in this nation, we have an incredibly rich history, and we should be incredibly proud of our history, because time and time and time again, this country has made a difference and changed things for the better right around the world. And we should, as a nation, be proud of that history and teach our children about it. Lucy, would you like to follow up?
I would, please. Just two quick things. Firstly, do you think that there is more that needs to be done in schools to tackle racism? And if so, what? And secondly, you mentioned the government's new funding for tutoring. Charities have welcomed this and called for it to extend beyond the coronavirus crisis. So I wanted to ask you whether you would potentially support making personal tutoring for the poorest children a permanent initiative to drive up standards.
So tolerance and respect have to be, and I believe are, at the cornerstone of absolutely everything that this country does and teaches in all of our schools, in all of our colleges and in all of our universities, and that's how it should be. And that is what I want to see everyone teaching in schools right across the United Kingdom and in England. We've taken the approach of a personal tutoring because we recognise that all the evidence points to the fact that this can make the biggest single difference to children's lives. The evidence seems to point to the fact that if a child has 12 weeks of this personal tutoring for just 2 hours a week, it can deliver up to 5 months' worth of catch-up for those children from the most disadvantaged communities. And what we're looking at is how this works, how this impact really changes the educational outcomes of children. We're very confident it will make a big difference, and this is why that we've focused on these efforts, and we'll be looking at how we support schools, whether through the use of their pupil premium, as to how we can continue to build on evidence-based initiatives that deliver brilliant outcomes for our young people. Next, if we can turn to Martin Brown from the Express. Martin.
Hello. Will your plan for schools have a plan in place of what to do if there is a second wave of coronavirus infections in the autumn or in the winter?
Martin, while we move to the position of making sure that every school is ready to be welcoming back children of all ages right across the spectrum into the classroom,